Next time on a very spooky fine dining podcast, the season 1 finale, TGI Fridays the 13th. Oh, you betcha, pineapple's gonna hit the fan as Michael's son Juicy, or in this episode, Juice's son Voorhees, goes on a murderous rampage, and no one is safe. It gets real spooky, it gets real bloody, and not everyone's gonna make it to the end of the episode. Who will live, who will die? Listen to Fine Dining, the search for the most mediocre restaurant in America, break down a trip to TGI Fridays based on the atmosphere, the service, and the food, and try not to be scared to death. Hear the thrilling finale of Fine Dining, Wednesday, October 25th, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, this is producer Martin, and I would like to take this opportunity to apologise, specifically to Jacob Rees-Mogg. There was a hot mic situation during the chaos at Parliament the other night, and I said some things that I regret. I called him a lying an absolute bag of wit with no fucking idea what the he's fucking doing. And for those words and others, which I don't feel I should repeat, I have reached out to apologise. At the start of this podcast, this is me reaching out now. I hope the apology is received well and we can move on.
Welcome to the show which makes no apologies. This is Non-Censored and I am Harriet Langley-Swindon. Hello, this is Harriet Langley-Swindon sharing the best bits from this week of my very popular radio show. We are recording this intro at 11 o'clock on Friday, the 21st of October. It won't be published for another half an hour, by which time everything will be out of date. I honestly don't know who I am anymore. I don't know where Martin is. Currently, at the time of recording, Jacob Rees-Mogg has just backed Boris Johnson. He says he's the best candidate. He's a Eurosceptic. He's as good a Brexiteer as I am, he says, and he consistently opposed Rishi Sunak's tax hikes and has the character to be a leader. Oh, no. Sorry, wait. Hang on. No, he said that's what he said about Liz Truss. But, I mean, to be honest, he can probably just do a copy and paste job there. Now, the big news is, once again, we are wondering who will be our next Prime Minister. The Conservative members voted, of course, for Liz Truss. That didn't work. So now the MPs are giving it a shot. Now, this is, dear listeners, this is democracy. If you don't like it, you just keep voting until you get the result you want. That's something I wish the Ramonas would understand. Now, we have a lot to get through. I mean, what a week. We have some money-saving tips on the show. We have an interview with the comedian Mark Steele, an interview with the Prime Minister. But to give you our most up-to-date segment, we spoke to our senior political correspondent, Eshaan Akbar, in the lobby on Thursday. Let's take a listen. So we are joined by our new senior political correspondent, but you'll all know him, Eshaan Akbar. Hello.
Hello, Harriet. Can I just say thank you so much for this opportunity.
How have you been finding it? I know Martin sorted you out with a lobby pass, really organised. We don't do things half-assed in this show.
We have a little bit of sway. We have a little bit of weight. Every now and then we can sort these things out.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for bringing my weight into this. I thank you for sorting out the pass. I managed to make my way into Portcullis House, which, as you know, is just right by the actual Houses of Parliament. And it seems like you didn't quite get the full clearance I needed because I've just been in the lobby for the last 6 hours, and although I told them it was a lobby pass, they've seemingly just got me to work here on security.
So it is a lobby. So I wasn't mistaken in getting you a lobby pass. It was just the wrong lobby.
Yes. To be fair on Martin, that's quite an understandable mistake. Lobby pass. you did get a pass to the lobby, just not the, just the lobby.
Nevertheless, I'm a professional, Harriet, as you well know. I've earned my position fairly, and I've done my bit and really taken stock of the events of the last few days, hours, minutes, seconds. Everything keeps changing. But I have to say, when you do work on security, you really get a peek behind the curtain as to what's happening here in the little corridors of government, or the lobby of government.
Do tell us, what sort of things?
There have been a lot of murmurings as to who the potential successor for the late Liz.
Yes, obviously, friend of the show. It'll be a shame to see her go. But we've got to move on as a country, and there are some exciting options ahead.
Absolutely, and just as there was with the late Queen Elizabeth, somebody who'd been waiting for a long time, unelected, rose to King, Prince Charles. It seems that one of the candidates that may be making a return, who of course has been waiting to be Prime Minister for a long time, has already been Prime Minister. A certain Boris Johnson has emerged as a very potential
wonderful
candidate.
Do you think he could be coming back?
Well, it seems, although he's currently on holiday in the Caribbean nowadays.
He deserves it.
Jamaica?
No, Martin.
I didn't make anyone.
No, I was going to make it. Sorry, just pretend I didn't say that. I'll edit it out, I think.
He's currently on holiday somewhere in the Caribbean. And he's told everybody that he intends to stand as potential leader, once again, of the Conservative Party. So that's
but Eshaan, he was forced out. I mean, the MPs, they cruelly kicked him to the curb.
We've all
Will
done
they
this.
change
We've
their
broken
minds?
up with someone and regretted it immediately. Thought, actually, they were my soulmate after all.
Yes, and he made me laugh. That's what they'll say.
Exactly. He made me laugh, and sure, he cheated on me multiple times, but when he was with me, it was great.
Yes, that's beautiful. Well, so far, from what you've said, I'm gunning for Boris. I think you're right. I think it is. Yes, he lied a bit, and gaslit the country and all these sort of rather sort of soppy excuses. But he was fun. He made us laugh. He got Brexit done.
Crucially, Boris Johnson doesn't like tofu. So
there we go.
Eshaan, could I just ask though, as popular as Boris Johnson might be, am I not right in thinking that he may be a little less popular with the Conservative, the people that will be voting on this leadership election?
No. They're very divided as to whether or not they like Boris as a potential candidate because, of course, as Harriet has said, he was already ousted by them once. So the other candidates that are potentially standing, Rishi Sunak, who of course, unsuccessfully ran for leadership against the late Liz Truss. It'd be interesting to see whether the Conservative Party members do think he remains a viable candidate despite losing to someone who was only able to serve in office for less time than Brian Clough did when he was manager of Leeds United, and they made a documentary about that.
Okay, listen, in future, if you could not bring football into the conversation because I don't like it.
Sure. I'm so sorry.
But Rishi Sunak, I mean, the members obviously decided he wasn't right for very good reason. I mean, when you look at Liz Truss, obviously she was the better choice. And that's what worries me. They chose Liz Truss with good reason. So now we're looking at the sloppy leftovers.
Well, I wouldn't call them sloppy leftovers. There are two very viable female candidates, a certain former Home Secretary, Suella Braverman.
Oh, best lawyer in the world, yes.
Yes, there are rumours that she may well be interested, and I heard this as Jeremy Hunt was leaving Portcullis House, and he made it very clear he wasn't going to stand, and it seems in the conversation that Suella may emerge as a potential candidate, as well as PM for PM. Old Penny Mordaunt.
PM for PM, yes, I suppose that's nice, but she's a bit, she's a bit bit wokey on some issues, Penny.
Well, I think she's trying to show a more compassionate side of the Conservative Party. And she may be a more compassionate candidate. Also, I did just hear one of the IT guys. He was actually complaining that he had to reactivate the Penny Mordaunt for PM website.
Just for people that didn't watch or pay very close attention to the leadership race last time, will they have to go back and watch the first round of videos to understand the second round of videos? Are we in a sequel situation will people be able to wear the
Yes, very
merchandise
much
they bought
so.
from the original run during this second race?
My understanding is that if people are to be able to make an informed decision, it is advisable that you watch the first release so as to understand what the second release is about, yes. But may I just take a moment to talk about some of the other more left field candidates, the bookmakers?
Yes, please
and,
do.
some of the people. A certain Michael Fabricant, they say that he is a good middle ground between Boris with the hair.
Yes.
Yeah, similar hair, sure.
And Rishi with the stature.
Right.
Right.
And Pretty with the thoughts.
Or lack thereof,
You know, someone was asked if you could build your perfect Conservative Party leader, and you had to go for policy,
Yep.
looks,
Yes.
height, and dress sense,
Yes.
it would look like Michael
fun,
Fabricant.
It's quite a fun game, really, isn't it?
So you think he's actually the ideal Tory Prime Minister and he's what the country needs?
Well, absolutely. I think there's a familiarity to.
Also, he's very good on social media. He's been on TV shows, a dating show. He's not afraid to put himself out there.
It's less Fabricant, more like Fabrican.
And I think that's the slogan right there. I think that's going to be the slogan right there.
you
Isn't
go.
it? Could we just
witty.
rattle through a few other potential options?
Harking back to the past, a certain Jacob Rees-Mogg may well emerge.
And the thing we know about Jacob Rees-Mogg is he's not afraid to put people in their place. He got those MPs into the chamber. He manhandled them.
Yeah.
He said, no. You know, maybe we need a bit of that in office.
I have to say, a bit of tough
bullying.
love with a Mogg PM and Therese Coffey Chancellor duo, I think could be something.
I'm
a lot of Conservative
with you
Party
here,
members get.
Ishaan, and I think what could
We all
really
need a
work,
mug of coffee.
Sorry, that's just brilliant.
Don't know how.
That is just
Is
brilliant.
that a joke?
So you're so funny. You're such a funny man.
There's, yes, definitely very good jokes happening. We've got to talk about Ben Wallace, of course. And what do you think the chances of him stepping in? Is there anything that you've heard? Anything that you might have picked up?
I have to say,
is there a reason?
The thing I've picked up in the lobby is that Ben Wallace is very much seen as the sexy candidate. He's a very sexy man.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think some people are thinking, well, perhaps what we need to do is go for a bit of eye candy.
Well,
But then, Ishaan, why didn't he run the first time? I mean, we all
this is
wanted
the
it. We
thing.
all wanted Ben to.
When you're sexy, you don't lay your cards on the table immediately. You just stay back, make yourself more desired. You stay in the corner in the club, and everybody sees you. And like, oh, who's that? Oh, it's Ben Wallace. He's in defence. He's a sexy potential candidate. And slowly, as the club lights slowly make their way round, suddenly Ben emerges.
wow.
So you think that's the only reason Ben hasn't run? Because obviously there's no other reason why he would run. It is that he is too sexy.
Yeah, absolutely. There is no other reason.
Well, look, all we know for sure is that anyone commenting on this, even a day ahead, is going to look very, very silly. But the future is bright, and luckily it's still Conservative. Thank you so much, Ishaan, for joining us for this segment. Well, it's been a shocking week. I mean, Thursday's events were a real shock, weren't they, Martin?
Oh, absolutely. I don't think anyone saw that coming.
No one saw it coming.
Although, in hindsight, looking back to the interview that we had with the PM on Wednesday, there were some indications that we could have picked up on.
I don't like hindsight. I'm not Labour, but let's take a listen. We're joined now on the line by our Prime Minister. Prime Minister, hello.
Hello, Harriet. How are you?
Oh, right. Sorry, Jeremy Hunt. I can see you're here. We were actually expecting to get the Prime Minister on the show today.
It may have been passed to me because that's sort of my nickname around government.
Right. I see. Okay. No, that's fine. We are nothing if not adaptable on this show. So if you don't mind, I'll just continue with the questions I have, and we'll see how we go.
Yes, very good. And just if anyone is wondering, the Prime Minister is safe and well.
Brilliant. I'm sure our listeners will be relieved to hear that. So Chancellor, here's my first question. Prime Minister, Are you still in charge?
Yes, I think the Prime Minister, who has not been maimed in any way, would ask me to say that, yes, she's still very much in charge, charging forwards with us at her back and sometimes just in front of her. Very much still in charge, yes.
Oh, wonderful. And is it true, can you reassure our viewers that you were not hiding under a desk?
I think the brand of Jeremy Hunt has always been very reassuring. And I can reassure that Liz has never hidden under a desk. She prefers to stand on the desks. She's a very popular person.
Right, I've got another one here for the Prime Minister. I hope you don't mind just going to throw it at you.
It might be easier me just answering as if I am the Prime Minister. Would that be helpful?
Sure. Actually, do you know what? That would be really great. Thank you. That makes my life a lot easier. I can't do this sort of double think. It's just, it's not in my... It is
hard to think about two things at once, yes.
It really is. It's not something anyone should have to do, let alone a journalist like myself.
Nor a politician like myself.
No. Well, Prime Minister, let me thank you very much. Jeremy Hunt has all but completely scrapped your mini budget. What is the point of you?
Look, I must say that Kwasi Kwarteng's mini budget, for all the talk, it was actually very, very funny. It was a very amusing thing to put out there. Now, we are left in a position where the only option that I'm going to have to put forwards as Prime Minister, we are going to have to start killing some poor people. It sounds like a drastic measure.
Well, it is tough times, isn't it?
Very tough times. Very, very tough times, and we have to do something.
So are we looking at a return to austerity, but with an added death toll?
You can look at it as a death toll, or you could look at it as the number of people living in a difficult cost of living crisis going down.
Oh, right. Wonderful.
Because, we're here to look after vulnerable families, and the fewer vulnerable families there are, the easier it is to look after them. It's quite simple economics,
lovely.
really.
Yes.
Mr. Hunt,
that sounds really good.
If you don't mind me just jumping in there.
No, not at all, Marvin.
That it might... thank you. Know my name. This is quite exciting. Not that you are. Anyway, some people believe that the government's role is to not kill the public. How would you respond to that? And that perhaps maybe you should make the maths work so that people aren't dying.
Maths is important. I will say Martin's got a point there.
Maths is very important. Look, when I became Chancellor, I said nothing's off the table, which is another way of saying that poor people are on the table. If you don't want the public to die, are you saying that we shouldn't get involved in wars? Are you saying that the people in Ukraine should be left to die, Marvin? Is that what you're saying?
Martin, you shouldn't say that. They don't deserve that.
I didn't say that. I mean, I'm not sure we should be involved in wars where we can help it, but I don't think.
I think we should be involved in wars where we can help. I think that's an awful thing to say, really. Look, it's a purely economic thing. This is not about people, it's about money. And the foundations were set a long time ago. When I was the health secretary, I started this process of very slowly trying to, get rid of the people who are sort of a burden on society. Nurses, the poor people. Nurses and poor people are sort of one and the same, thanks to somebody.
Oh, Jeremy, that's very witty. That's very witty and true. Now, I'm sorry. I once again, I'm slightly thrown, but I'm just going to plough ahead with my questions here. Now, Suella Braverman resigned yesterday. Now, this is hot off the heels of only a few days ago losing your chancellor to a new chancellor. What is happening? I mean, she says she resigned because of sending an email from a personal email account, but there is talk that actually you came to blows with each other and there was a big argument and she left because she doesn't think you're very good.
Right. This one, I, Jeremy Hunt, am very good. This was
right. No,
for Liz. I see. It is confusing.
Yes. Sorry, it is.
I understand. Okay.
None of us are improvisers, and I'm sorry. It's confusing what we're doing.
Yes, and I would also say that Braverman has gone to the big Rwanda in the sky. She's over. And that's her choice. It was her choice to leave. And I think there's a lot of talk of Tory rebels at the moment. And I would encourage people not to think of them as those sort of disgusting rebels from Star Wars. Because the Tory rebels, we're more like the Empire. I think that's the way of looking at it.
They're more like the Empire, not we. Yes,
the
they
rebels.
Are. Sorry,
I'm obviously, of course.
Yeah, the rebel. You're not.
No. I'm here to stay, at least till Halloween. I would say the Prime Minister, she can get out of the basement at any time. That is clear.
Okay, she's fine.
She's
Jeremy, sorry.
Healthy and happy. Yes, Marvin. Yes.
If you don't mind me jumping in, just to clarify, in this situation, if you are the Empire and not the rebels, could you just give us a little bit of clarity on who the Ewoks are?
It is important that we have a clear picture of when it comes to analogies.
Clear. So the Ewoks are sort of, I would say they are most probably, they're dirty, quite small, not very well respected. I think they're probably the Just Stop Oil activists is who the Ewoks probably are.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that might be the case, yeah.
Who are usually quite hairy as well.
Incredibly hairy. They don't really make a difference. And whenever they speak, I just hear high-pitched wailing.
And of course, it's the anti-growth coalition, of course, are the ones causing the problems. And I don't think I'd be going too far to say they are Jar Jar Binks in this situation. Nobody asked for them. They're causing trouble. There's definitely a bit of a dark element to them. And they're
Martin,
probably a little bit offensive.
Martin, I know we like to flesh out our analogies on this programme, but sometimes I think you really do take it too far.
What was the problem with Jar Jar Binks? He was one of my favourite characters.
That explains a lot, actually. Yeah, I can see where your ideas came from.
I'll ask Nadine Dorris about it. We're still in touch. Anything I don't understand culturally, I still go to her.
Now, let's not have anyone saying that non-censored doesn't take the cost of living crisis seriously, because this week we had some wonderful money-saving tips from Avaracia Money-Cash from the Daily Telegraph, didn't we, Martin?
We absolutely did. She came on and gave some pretty wild suggestions. Hopefully some of them will be useful to our listeners. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she also threatened the life of my dog. Which is always interesting to hear different opinions on the radio, of course. But even when they don't always make.
Indeed. Avaracia, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hello. Honestly, Harriet, an absolute honour. I listen every day.
Oh, wonderful. I mean, I love that. We love to get fans of the show on. What you can bring to the table is some really quite useful tips that I think a lot of people just won't have thought of when it comes to this cost of living crisis.
Thank you, Harriet. The thing about this cost of living crisis is we need to band together and we need to share knowledge, actually, because a lot of the time we're trying to do this alone when actually this is a time we can really bring back that sort of war spirit where everybody shared a ladder, maybe we can share a blanket or two together, because let's think about that. How many blankets, Harriet, do you have in your cupboards?
Oh, so many, Avaracia. I mean, they fall on me every time I open the cupboard.
Well, exactly. So you're opening your cupboard. You're seeing your sort of 100% wool, or Afghan hound, whatever it is your blankets are made of, and maybe you've got 4 or 5, maybe you've got 6 or 7. I don't know how many spare rooms you have, but you're not using them every day. So why not go out into the street and just ask people, do you need a blanket?
I don't want to really give away my blankets, Avaracia. I mean, I want to kind of, look after the people in my house.
That's absolutely up to you, Harriet. And that's the thing to remember about all of these tips, because when people come back saying these tips are not relevant to me, I say, fine, that's not a tip for you. Okay, so that's not one for you. You're not going to share your blankets. Right, you're going to keep your blankets for yourself.
I don't want to give up my blankets.
So, notes to everyone listening: do not knock on Harriet's door asking for a blanket.
Sorry, I can't. They're there for me and my family.
And that's it. We do need to think of ourselves first. It's very much like they say on the planes. Don't let your child breathe until you can.
Oh, well, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
I mean, yes. I've got to say, sometimes it's not even family members that get those blankets, is it, Harriet? I mean, I was quite chilly. I remember last Christmas I came round and you sent me outside to fix the drain, and I caught quite a bad cold, and I said, "Oh no, please, could I have a blanket?" And you said they weren't for me. The idea
Martin,
that charity starts at home.
They weren't for you. You didn't need them anyway. You had one of your dogs on you.
Well,
and it is a dog-eat-dog world, Martin, they would say, wouldn't they?
Oh, yes. I suppose they would. But I'm very much...
And some of us will be eating dog, actually, during this cost of living crisis. So,
actually, we could start with your dogs. I think if we cook some of your dogs and give them to people in the street, I'd be all right with that.
I don't think that. I already give a lot to charity. I feel very... compelled whenever I walk past someone in need. Sometimes on the way to work, I end up giving out my lunch, and that's a nightmare because
Which is funny, isn't it, Martin, that you feel compelled to give out your lunch whilst you're walking your dog, I imagine, and there you are, literally walking meat. Meat that could be eaten by those who need more. So perhaps, Martin, what we need to do is some braver thinking, some out-of-the-box thinking, where suddenly
also,
a dog isn't a
really
pet.
rubbing their faces in it, Martin, by parading your dog around like that.
I don't think of my dog as meat.
Not yet, you don't.
This is quite a triggering conversation, I've got to say. I do care about my dog a lot. But, I mean, I'm certainly interested to hear some of your other tips. You're clearly thinking outside the box, Avaracia, and we do appreciate that on this programme.
Yes, Avaracia, what would you say to one of these sort of needy, sad, poverty-stricken people who are in their house and say, oh, I can't afford to put the heating on, and they don't happen to know anyone handing out blankets on their local street?
I would say crack out the cashmere now. A lot of people say they will not wear cashmere before November because it's a bit like Labour Day with white shoes.
Yeah, it feels wrong.
It feels wrong. So I say just crack it out. Get that cashmere, and we've all got it, down the back of the sofa, around the corner, in the bottom of a drawer. So just get that cashmere, put it on right now. My other top tip is move to Florida.
Move to Florida.
Yes. A lot of people say, it's just so cold here. And actually, why not move somewhere sunny? And Florida, as the Golden Girls showed us, is a very warm place. So just pop yourself on a plane, get to Florida. Why not live there 6 months of the year, come back here the other 6 months of the year? That's what a lot of people do.
Brilliant. I don't know why these people don't think of things like this. I mean, it's one of those things that when you say it, you realise how obvious it is.
Exactly. You have to speculate to accumulate, and you have to fly to say bye-bye to the cold. Wonderful, yeah.
And I mean, a lot of these people who are all are so cold, it's not like they have jobs anyway. So it's not like they'd be,
and that's a really good point,
jobs.
Harriet, because that's the thing that stops a lot of people traveling is, a job or a sort of purpose in life. And a lot of the people suffering from this cost of living crisis aren't really living any kind of life at all anyway. So I say, turn your back on that life. Pop down to Gatwick or Stansted, probably Luton, the people we're talking about, and just get a flight somewhere warm, live it out there. And of course, the pound is currently still just about exchangeable for a larger amount of money. So your money will go further in other places.
Yes. Oh, so true. Even if we could send the homeless people there, couldn't they?
Oh, well, I think they're already planning to do that, to send the homeless. Well, it was the immigrants, wasn't it? Refugees off to somewhere else.
But we don't need to worry about them being cold. I mean, they're from warmer climates. They've still retained some of that heat. So I don't think they're really an issue when it comes to being cold this winter.
No, absolutely. I mean, if I could tell a story, and sorry, my voice is cracking because I'm feeling vulnerable sharing it. When I was younger. My parents would put the heating on.
Yes.
Just for December and January, sometimes February, sometimes April, missing out March because of a family crisis. And then one year they decided that we shouldn't have the heating on for 4 months of the year, but rather 3. Yeah. And it was that year that I lost my dog.
How old was your dog?
He was 27 years old. He'd lived such a life.
Sorry, is that in dog? Is that in dog years or
no? Human.
No,
human years. And
that's astonishing.
Well, and he had so much more to give. His back legs had been replaced by wheels at that point. And I can't help but feel like the reason I lost my dog was because the heating had been turned off for a month. So when people criticize me and say I'm out of touch, I don't think they realize what heating really means to me. And the pain of turning it off reminds me of my dog dying.
Avaracia,
Muffy.
Was it because someone cooked the dog?
No one cooked the dog. The dog just died, and we just let that meat rot. Actually,
right,
you're right. We could have cooked it. We could have. No, you're right. We could have cooked it, and then maybe Muffy wouldn't have been wasted.
Not only did the dog die, but it didn't. Not even for a good purpose.
I hadn't really thought of it like that, Harriet.
See, at least when we kill Martin's dogs, we can say that that's for a greater purpose.
I'm just going to put it out. I'm going to go and check on my dogs after this interview's done. But I just want to put it out.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. Say your goodbyes, protected. And then I can go and pick them up later on in the day. But you have your time with them.
Stay away from my dogs.
Anyway, those are my top tips. Kashmir, get yourself to Florida. The other thing I was going to say, that new build houses really are much better insulated. So if you can, not everyone can, but if you can, just buy a new house.
Well, what a lovely note to end on. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Please come on again soon.
I absolutely will, Harriet. Thank you so much for having me.
So we had comedian Mark Steele on the show. Very illuminating chat. We talked a bit too much about Newport and what you could get there for £3. But it was really quite wonderful, wasn't it, Martin? Because I thought we'd be sworn enemies. I didn't think we'd get on. He's a bit of a socialist. I'm right. But actually, we really found some common ground. And it just shows, doesn't it?
I was actually quite astounded at how well you got on together. Yes. It seems that the left and the right can agree on certain things, although I think it would be probably best for everyone if they didn't.
Well, very divisive talk from you there, Martin. Let's take a listen. Mark, it's very exciting to have you on. Now, obviously, you've had a radio series in town which has been all over the UK. And I guess what I want to start with by asking is, what was your favourite former Labour constituency to visit?
Blythe, easily. That's an easy one, Harriet. It was Blythe. Absolutely brilliant place. So there's a comic called Kai Humphries, who's from Blythe, and he told me, I went to meet him when I first wanted to sort of do stuff about Blythe. Blythe, for people who don't know, it's about 15 miles north of Newcastle, and it's the place. It was sort of the former Labour constituency to go Conservative, because it used to be full of shipyards and pits and all the Labour-y things there were, and then went Conservative. And Kai told me that he was once stood in the high street, just outside one of the closed down shops or Poundland or something, and a bloke come up to him and went, "Here, mate, do you want to buy a rat?" He said, "It's a top quality rat, mind." Oh, and he went, "It's got a cage and everything, like." And I thought that was a brilliant starting place for sort of Blythe, really. And that went Conservative, a place where people sell rats.
Well, isn't that wonderful, though? Isn't that wonderful? Because you're right, selling rats is a very kind of, I think, lefty enterprise.
No, I think it's very entrepreneurial. I think it's very small business. I've got a small business league, and as a small businessman selling rats league in East Street, I think that the Conservatives are looking after me league, and they drop corporation taxes, because if this rat selling business league grows, and I'm able to sell like £40 million worth of rats in the morning, I'll be happy that they've dropped the corporation tax, not like the socialists will take all my rat money off me.
That's the thing. I mean, the Conservative Party, we do look after small businesses, regardless of what you're selling. And I think, yes, some of us might turn our noses up at selling rats, wouldn't we? But I think we can also agree that it's still a business, and it still needs help. It needs help to grow. Though I'd like it not to grow, to be honest with you. I don't know how many rats I want.
I do as well. Are you the party of small business? In a similar vein, I was in Newport for the last series, which I very much enjoyed, and that's almost very, very sort of in a different area, and that's not a formal label. That's still very strong.
It's just Newport.
It's lovely, and there's an area of Newport called Peel, which is the poorest bit of Newport. So that's whatever the opposite of creme de la creme is.
Yeah, lots of rat selling.
Crap de la crap, yeah.
La poubelle de la poubelle, you might say. So I spent an afternoon with a woman there who said to me, it's very hard on here. She said, I tell you what, down my road, you got a prostitute down there, it's £3 for a blowy. And I remember thinking that was...
Quite good, isn't it?
If you were to go on Dragon's Den and that was your business plan... They'd go, I mean, I just can't see how you're going to reach a sort of accountable level where profitability really, I'm sorry, I just don't see, I'm out.
Yeah.
I mean, how many can you do in a week?
It paints a very interesting and beautiful picture of the UK that, within just a few hours' drive, you can pick up a rat and get a blowy for maybe under £20.
But the thing is, I'm afraid...
That's assuming that the rat's £17, which I've no idea. And it's also...
I don't know. It depends how much you'd pay for a rat. I mean, as far as blowjobs go, I mean, I'm afraid that doesn't fall under entrepreneurial businesses because sex work doesn't count as a business. No, well, I'm sorry, Mark. I'm sorry. That's everybody says that.
Harriet, it's modern times, and people, have a right to earn their money in.
Please, I don't want to hear it.
Well, not so full of business spirit and libertarian attitudes as we thought. Keir Starmer's very, very big on the blowjob industry.
Oh, well, of course he is. Of course he is. It's a typical socialist lefty attitude. Let's have these women utilising their mouths. I don't know. It's just very wrong. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mark. I was with you on the rats, but when it comes to blowjobs, no, come on. You've got to have standards here in the UK.
£3. I just can't see £3.
Well, at £3, you have to question: are they really in it for the money? You know what I mean?
Do you live to work or do you work to live? Yes. Well, it's quite a good question.
Age-old question, isn't it?
Well, I think yes, it's about work-life balance. I agree.
Yeah. Now, Mark, on to more, classier issues. You're on Radio 4 a lot, which is lovely. We all love Radio 4. So I have to ask, Oxford or Cambridge?
Well, as someone in the performing world, then Cambridge would have been my chosen.
Oh, but one. you didn't go to Cambridge.
No, I sadly just missed out.
Right.
Whether there is anyone from Swanley Comprehensive, where I went to school, that ended up at Cambridge, I don't know. There probably is someone, but I don't know who they are.
Durham? Did you go to Durham?
That's often where, Durham. Yes, because Durham, I imagine if you go to Durham, they say, now, I know you didn't get into Oxford and Cambridge, but there is a lovely statue and a very nice river. So don't feel too bad about yourself. Of course, your parents will never fully like you again, but...
yeah, but it's a good consolation prize.
Yes, and you can get a job in law and probably afford therapy.
Yes.
As far as I'm aware, it goes Cambridge, Oxford, Durham, Swanley Comprehensive.
One of the big four.
Big
four, definitely.
Okay. See, now you're calling me out on my prejudices because I thought Swanley Comprehensive, I'm going to be honest with you, I thought it was down there with the rats and the £3 blowjobs, but actually... You've surprised me. I didn't know it was up there with the greats.
I think if someone from Swanley Comprehensive ended up as Prime Minister, they would beat Liz Truss, they would be gone within 4 days, and they'd have nicked all the paintings out of Downing Street, and the bedspread would be gone.
the golden wallpaper.
And they'd have been into the House of Commons and had the mace away. Yeah. I think that's what would have happened. And then someone would be going around the Lullingstone, which is the one pub in Swanley, going, "Oh, I've got a mace, £8."
Oh dear. Well,
It's a very reasonable rate for a mace.
I can't deal with any of that.
Yeah, that's what it'd be.
I mean, I'm starting to think that
it'd be.
Swanley Comprehensive isn't up there with Oxbridge and Durham.
No, I think it's sort of though, these days most education establishments are quite they specialise, don't they? And Swanley specialises in petty crime.
I want to stress to our listeners that's not what you do, is it? You don't do things like that.
No. I got out of Swanley.
No.
I got out of Swanley when I was 18. Oh, there were some lovely people there. One of the things that happened to us, is true, is that. Now, you would appreciate this, Harriet. This is very, very entrepreneurial.
Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready as long as it's not more blowjobs.
No. I'm only relating what the woman in Newport told me. That's not
right. Yes, of course.
Never been my area of expertise. Now, with my mate Keith, when we were about 17, living in Swanley, we decided to buy a car that someone was selling down the pub, a Ford Corsair, and we bought it for £12, and we polished it and vacuumed it, and we put a little advert in the newsagent window on a little card, trying to sell it for £20. So that's pretty good, isn't it? That's the sort of thing you could imagine Richard Branson.
Absolutely.
Did it work?
Well, this is what happened. There's a family in Swanley, and one of them was called Trevor, and he was a notorious petty criminal. And he rang up and said, "I want to come and look at your car for £20." So me and Keith stood there, and we thought, he's probably going to use it for some burglary, I don't know. And he had a look at it, and he went, "Can I get in?" And we went, "Yeah, go on." And he got in and just drove off.
Oh,
Mark.
the free test drive.
Mark.
He just got in, all right, and he went, and gone. And me and Keith were sort of stood. I remember he actually got to the bottom of the road and turned the corner before one of us went, "He's not coming back, is he?"
A harsh lesson to learn as a young entrepreneur.
Mark, all these absolutely harrowing tales of Swanley. So how did you get into comedy? Was it a way to laugh at your tricky life of crime and doing up cars?
No, I think like most comics, it's all you can do, isn't it?
Yes.
I don't think we're very good at anything else.
No, you're not.
I was a milkman. I tried being a milkman, which is that's quite small businessy as well, because you're sort of, even back then, and I think even more now, you're a sort of little bit of an independent business that gets the milk from the dairy, and you sort of sell it as you want, really. You can almost charge your own prices, and that was quite fun, but I was not very good at that really either. I was no good at that sort of thing. I once forgot a whole street. Sometimes you'd miss out one house. I missed a whole street. I got back to the yard and thought, I've got a lot of milk left today, and I've missed a whole street out.
No, that's not a good milkman. No, that's not very good. Now, I heard...
Harriet, I'm glad you used the phrase milkman and you've not succumbed to the wokeness of
hello,
milk
Mark.
or something.
Sorry, would I? No. I'm very anti-woke. Milkmen's are milkmen's. And I've never met a milkwoman, and I never want to, quite frankly.
What if there was a milkman, but he identified as a milkman?
Oh, sorry. No, sorry. No. You don't get to identify yourself as anything. I get to identify you. All right?
Okay.
That's how it works. Yeah.
So if you decide I was actually a postman while I was a milkman, I'd just have to put up with it.
Well, I mean, if you want to put it like that, then yes. Okay. Yeah, that's how it works. You have a podcast?
Yes.
What the F star is going on?
Yes.
Are things really going so badly for you that you'd stoop to doing a podcast?
Yeah, everyone's got to have a podcast these days, Harriet. Everyone. This is for Tory Britain. We're all individuals. We're all working for our own benefit, for our own. We've all got to get out there and find work. We're all our own little franchise, and we've all got to have a podcast. Everybody, 83-year-old women who live at the post office. Oh, I've got a podcast here about Melton Mowbray Post Office. Everyone's got to have one.
I like the idea of giving.
Good idea. Yeah, I'd listen to that podcast, I think.
That would. She's doing arena tours now.
I mean, I like the idea of giving.
This week is Stephen Fry. Oh, I do remember Melton Mowbray Post Office. Wonderful, wonderful. Oh, such delight as you handed over the stamps. Yeah, she's doing arena. She's doing the O2.
I mean, it might be a way to keep the old people occupied, wouldn't it? Give them a podcast, and then they don't have to think about how they're cold or not eating or any of those kind of things.
Exactly. Instead of sitting around complaining and moaning about, oh, I want the state, I want British Gas to provide me with energy just because I pay for them. Instead of that, I've gone out on my own and done a podcast and kept warm like that.
I mean, brilliant. It's sort of, it's our stiff upper lip happening, but instead of being, sort of not like repressing and not saying, you can say it as long as it's in a podcast.
Exactly.
It's like my father used to say to me, when I was upset about something, he'd say, repress, repress, repress. Never speak of this. Don't tell anyone unless you're doing a podcast. Well, he would have said that if there was a podcast, but it didn't exist then. Maybe we should just restrict podcasts to the elderly. I mean, they can do podcasts or they can, wander around the garden of their houses raising money for the NHS. And then again, we can cut public spending.
Harriet, don't you think this was one of the wonderful things about lockdown is that we realised that this was a much more efficient way of funding the NHS rather than taxes and all that?
Yes, we get the little old people to sort it out.
Get a 99-year-old to walk round and round the garden. That's so much more efficient. And you could tailor it to which part of the year. So in the summer, when less people need hospitals, they could just walk round. And then in the winter, when you need more money because more people are sick, you could have someone going, come on, move, you silly old sod.
Yes.
Come on. Never mind leaning on your bloody walking frame. There's bloody dialysis machines to buy. Move.
Yes, wonderful. Really gets them moving. And it's sort of a tag team thing, isn't it? Like one of them dies, another one steps up to the plate. Yeah. It's just a little sort of rolling team, fun for all the family. Well, no, fun for the old contingent of the family. The younger ones can get involved. They can be like, get moving, Granddad. I've got a charity to set up. It really can get everyone involved.
All of these sort of little think tank ideas of yours, they will end up being, they won't become law, but I think the current government is probably quite likely to try and make them law.
Oh, do you think so?
There's a U-turn and they give up on it. Yeah, I think so.
See,
I think they probably listen to this podcast and whatever you say, they just go, let's do that.
Oh, wonderful.
Try it. Say,
Well,
try it.
Mark, I was thinking of setting up a think tank.
We should replace the police with bears. There we are. Say that. How much cheaper it would be? Replace the police with grizzly bears.
Yes. Oh, I love
it.
Some
potential.
No, this is just wonderful.
That, but no, I can understand why that would be a popular idea as well. Sort of old-fashioned law and order, and also the long arm of the law. Bears do have long arms, so technically they could probably do a pretty good job.
The short claw of the law.
Well, Mark, I mean, I didn't think I'd ever say this, but just from some of the ideas you're coming up with here. So I actually have a little project on the side, and it's setting up a think tank for the government. Because you don't actually, I mean, I've looked into it, and you don't really actually have to be an expert. You can just have opinions. And would you like to come on board? I never thought I'd say this to a socialist, but I just think actually you've got some really good ideas. And also, obviously it's not what it's about with think tanks. And you're as a think tank, you want to think for the government. You can really influence big decisions with a good think tank, Mark. I mean, look at
what about the unemployed being used as fireworks? So if there's a firework display, they can be like nailed to a tree and spun round as a Catherine wheel.
Yes. Wonderful.
I can't say that
or we could put some
idea, but it does sound exciting.
Or Mark. No, it does sound exciting. And also, Mark, I mean, one of the criticisms labelled the Rwanda project of sending refugees to Rwanda is the money. It's, it costs us so much. But if we put those, refugees in as a firework, they'd probably end up in Rwanda after they've sort of had a bit of fun in the sky for everybody else.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, if you could get a really good one, you could fire it to Rwanda.
You could fire it to Rwanda. What should we call our think tank? We should give it a name. If we're really going to get this going, let's give it a name. Producer Martin, you're usually good at names.
Yes, it depends what your sort of brand wants to be. I mean, do you want to? We're just helping in improving the world, the country.
If Harriet the Chariot.
Okay,
Harriet
like sort of Chariots of Fire, maybe.
Okay.
Type,
yes.
Or if you want to put yourself as a little bit closer to Parliament, you could be the House of Edgelords. Because you've got very edgy.
Oh, actually, no, I do like that, the House of Edgelords. Though it sounds a bit. Do you know what, Martin? I don't know about that because it makes me feel a bit like a sort of one of these, these angry sort of 32-year-old men who, yes, make some good points, but they swear a lot, don't they? And that's not what I do.
Oh, right. Then they go on Question Time and then end up trending for 27 consecutive weeks.
Yes.
Because they've said we should get India back or something.
It's certainly a strong brand. Not one that I would buy, but it's out there if you want it.
So we've gone off slightly off topic. So I guess just going back to your podcast, can you tell us? And obviously, I've listened to it. I wouldn't be doing my research as a journalist if I didn't. But can you tell us what you do on your podcast?
Well, there's a number of people who contribute to it.
Yes.
So I sort of talk about what on earth is going on. We try to work out what is going on. And then we have guests. We've had all sorts of very prominent guests on there. We've had Louis Theroux on there, and Victoria Corrin, and Jenny Eclair, and Rosie Holt. I don't know if you've heard of her. We've had all these people on, and then they sort of help me find out what is going on with the current craziness, because I think this is the question most people are asking. And then we get various other contributors. George Galloway comes on every week. And
what a wonderful man! I don't usually like the very left, but I think he's really he's really shown his true colours, hasn't he? Like, he's not afraid to compromise. He's not afraid to compromise and make unions with people that usually you'd think someone on the left wouldn't touch with a barge pole, but no, he rubs shoulders with them very, very well.
This has been lovely, Harriet. I've been enjoying this so much. I think we should carry this on every week.
Oh,
there's so many things that we can put forward. And at last, I mean, in the old days of miserable bureaucracy and sort of like old men running the government, you come up with a genuinely radical idea and nobody will listen. But I think some of the things we've come up with, I can see them just going, yeah, we'll do that.
Yes. I just, what I've learned from this whole experience talking to you, Mark, is don't judge a book by its cover. I was expecting, a socialist man with an accent that he'd perfected over time, and actually, you've really won me over. Welcome to the think tank.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Welcome to the show.
This is. Because it's radical. It's radical thinking.
Yes.
See? Left, right, don't make any difference.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. And you and George Galloway are welcome anytime.
Thank you very much. I'm trying to think of some more now.
I think I mean...
Oh, what about replacing ambulances with milk floats? Getting milkmen to actually double up as ambulance drivers. Think how much that'd save.
I mean...
my heart's giving. All right, mate, I can't go any faster.
They are brilliant. Electric vehicles, which would be actually quite environmentally friendly as well. I mean,
are you on board with that one, then, Martin? Do you like that one?
No, you know what?
If we've won Martin over, Martin.
Hey, mate, can you hop out and do two points to number 13? I've had a heart attack. Come on.
Yes, brilliant.
That's
done,
good.
Sorted, and it's great because we've won over the centrist, which is Martin.
Yeah.
So there we go. I mean, unfortunately, no one likes centrists, so that's it's not really much of a battle.
Okay.
But
fine.
But we'll take what victories we can get. Mark,
what about fire engines doubling up as Starbucks?
Howard, can you explain to me how that would work?
Well, so to pay for the fire service, the firefighters have a Starbucks at the back of the engine, and they can
like a little
come up and buy.
And we could use ice cream vans as ambulances or something, because it's cold in there. That's good, isn't it? When you're, I don't know, when you've got
or as A&E units.
Yes. Come on.
Because they can be cauterized by a cornetto.
Yeah,
you were laughing.
Yeah, double up, brilliant. Well, we've sorted
and also
it all.
You could get a flake with it, with whatever whatever
element that you have.
You're having, yeah.
Chew on this for an amputation. Chew on this flake.
Lovely.
It's all going to happen.
Oh, brilliant. I mean, the future is bright. That's what I say. The future is bright, and I look forward to living through it. Mark Steele, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Well, that was the show. What a show. What a week, eh, Martin?
Yes, and it's still ongoing, isn't it? I mean, there's more week to come. Who knows what will happen over the weekend? Another there's no point guessing.
No point guessing. But, Martin, you know one thing people can do this weekend?
Yes, I do, actually. They can go for a stroll with their dogs.
No, Martin. No, they can write a review and subscribe to our podcast. Yes.
Yes,
5 stars.
5 stars, please. That's
nice little
all
note.
That we're interested in. And leave a nice little note saying, I enjoy producer Martin's input. I'm glad that he's there, and maybe he should be paid more, because there is
Martin, I don't know why you sort of you kind of strain the realms of believability when you talk about what they should write, and I think it confuses them. So I think we just put write a nice review. Harriet is great, 5 stars. With thanks to Rosie Holt, Brendan Murphy, Eshaan Akbar, William Sebag-Montefiore, Pippa Evans, Ed Morrish, and special guest Mark Steele. We'll be back next week for some more Non-Censored.